Hello, it's Dr. Gert today. We're going to dive into a topic that is profoundly important, especially if you're over the age of 40. I want you to ask yourself a question and be completely honest. Are you starting to feel like your own body is working against you? Perhaps you've noticed that climbing a simple flight of stairs now feels like a monumental task, leaving you breathless and your legs feeling like jelly. Maybe getting up from a low chair or out of your car requires a little extra push, a grunt of effort that wasn't there a few years ago. Or you wake up with these strange, unexplained muscle aches and pains that you just dismiss as getting older. If any of this sounds familiar, I need you to pay very close attention for the next few minutes. This isn't just part of aging, it's a warning sign. What if I told you that this gradual decline in strength, this creeping weakness, is not inevitable? Recent compelling research is uncovering a startling truth. An overwhelming 90% of individuals over the age of 40 are walking around with at least one serious undiagnosed nutritional deficiency. This isn't a minor issue. These deficiencies are literally stealing your muscle strength day by day right under your nose. They are accelerating your aging process. And the most frustrating part? The vast majority of conventional medical practitioners don't even think to investigate the root cause. They see the symptom, weakness, and label it age, missing the underlying nutritional crisis completely. Your physical independence is on the line. In this video, I'm going to pull back the curtain on this silent epidemic. We will expose the 4 most dangerous and common nutritional deficiencies that are making you feel old before your time, systematically dismantling your muscle tissue and putting your future mobility at risk. But I won't just leave you with the problem. More importantly, I'm going to give you the solution. I will lay out the precise, step-by-step protocols to reverse each one of these deficiencies, and you can do it from the comfort of your own home, often for less than the cost of a few cups of coffee. If you value your strength, if you want to prevent debilitating falls, and if you intend to age with power and dignity, stay with me. The information I'm about to share could be the key to reclaiming your vitality. My name is Gert, and I'm a nutritionist with a deep specialization in mobility and preserving muscle strength, particularly for those of us navigating life after 40. Over the past 15 years, I've had the privilege of working with over 3,000 patients. They came to me with the same stories: pervasive weakness, chronic muscle pain, and a terrifying loss of physical independence. And do you know what I discovered in the overwhelming majority of these cases? A staggering 87% of the time, the root cause wasn't just age, as so many of them had been told by their doctors. The real culprit was a specific, correctable, nutritional deficiency. People who had resigned themselves to being weak discovered they just needed the right nutrients to feel strong and youthful again. Let's get right into the first, and perhaps most misunderstood, deficiency that is silently destroying your muscles. I'm talking about a functional protein deficiency. Now pay close attention to that word, functional. I'm not simply talking about the total amount of protein you eat. I am talking about the specific protein that your body can actually absorb, process, and use to build and repair your muscle tissue. This is a critical distinction that is almost always overlooked. You might be eating chicken, fish, or eggs, thinking you're getting enough, but your body might not be able to utilize it effectively, especially after you cross the 40-year threshold. This is a game changer in understanding why you're losing strength. The reason this becomes so critical after 40 is a phenomenon called anabolic resistance. Think of it like this: your muscle cells become a little bit deaf to the signals that tell them to grow and repair. The same amount of protein that easily maintained your muscle mass when you were 20 is now insufficient. Your body's hormonal environment has shifted, your digestion may be less efficient, and your cells require a much stronger signal to get the message. To put it in concrete numbers, while a 20-year-old might thrive on 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, after 40, that need skyrockets to at least 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram, just to break even and prevent muscle loss. So how do you know if this is happening to you? The signs are often subtle at first. You might feel a distinct weakness in your legs when you're climbing stairs, a task that used to be effortless. You might notice you need to use your arms to push yourself up from a low chair or the sofa. Look at your arms and legs in the mirror. Do they seem less defined, a bit smaller than they used to be? Another huge clue is slow recovery. If you do some gardening or go for a long walk and feel sore for days afterward, that's a red flag. Your body doesn't have the functional protein building blocks to repair the micro tears in your muscles efficiently. This deficiency also manifests in ways you might not connect to your muscles. Do you experience sudden energy crashes in the middle of the afternoon where you feel completely drained for no apparent reason? That's often a sign of unstable blood sugar, which is closely linked to inadequate functional protein intake. Look at your hands and your hair. Are your nails weak, brittle, and prone to splitting? Is your hair thinning or becoming dry and fragile? Remember, protein is the fundamental building block for all tissues in your body, not just your muscles. Your hair and nails are often the first places to show signs of a deficiency because your body prioritizes sending scarce protein to more vital functions. Let me tell you about a patient of mine. Let's call her Mrs. Carmen. She came to my office at 62, and her primary complaint was a profound sense of fear. She was afraid of falling. She lived alone, and the simple act of walking across her living room felt precarious. She told me, "My legs feel like they're made of sand. I have to hold on to the furniture to get around my own home." Her doctor had run the standard tests, found nothing wrong, and told her it was just her age and she should consider using a walker. She felt her independence, her entire world, shrinking day by day. She had lost visible muscle in her arms and legs and felt a constant, draining fatigue. When we talked about her diet, Mrs. Carmen was convinced she was doing everything right. She ate a small piece of grilled chicken for dinner, maybe an egg for breakfast. On paper, it seemed reasonable for someone her age, but when we dug deeper, we uncovered the real issue. Her stomach acid levels were low, a very common issue as we age, which meant she wasn't properly breaking down the protein she was eating. Even the protein she did manage to break down wasn't enough to overcome the anabolic resistance her body was experiencing. She was in a state of chronic, functional protein deficiency, and her muscles were literally wasting away as a result. The first thing we did was not to just tell her to eat more protein. That's the common and often incorrect advice. Instead, we focused on making the protein she ate more functional. We started by supporting her digestion. I had her start each protein-containing meal with a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar in a small glass of water. This simple trick helps to increase stomach acidity, essentially preparing the stomach to properly break down and digest protein molecules. It's like turning on the ignition before you try to drive the car. Without adequate stomach acid, the protein passes through you without being fully utilized for muscle repair. Next, we addressed the type and timing of her protein. Instead of one small portion at dinner, we spread her intake throughout the day to provide a steady supply of amino acids to her muscles. We incorporated a high-quality whey protein isolate shake in the morning, which is rapidly absorbed and rich in leucine, the most critical amino acid for stimulating muscle protein synthesis. We also made sure her lunch and dinner included easily digestible sources like fish, poultry, and high-quality Greek yogurt. We weren't just adding protein, we were adding smart, bioavailable protein at strategic times to overcome her body's resistance and feed her starving muscles. So, what is the exact protocol you can use to combat this functional protein deficiency at home? First, you need to calculate your target. Take your weight in kilograms and multiply it by 1.4. This is your daily goal in grams of functional protein. For example, if you weigh 70 kilograms, which is about 154 pounds, you need to aim for approximately 98 grams of protein per day. Don't be intimidated by this number, we will break it down. This is the amount needed not just to exist, but to actively fight against age-related muscle loss and rebuild your strength. It's a therapeutic dose designed to overcome that anabolic resistance we talked about. Second, you must support your digestion to make the protein functional. You can't use what you can't absorb. The simplest way to start is with the apple cider vinegar trick I mentioned. 1 to 2 teaspoons of raw, unfiltered apple cider vinegar in a small amount of water about 15 minutes before any meal containing protein. If you have access to it, another excellent tool is a digestive enzyme supplement that contains betaine HCl and pepsin. This provides your stomach with the direct building blocks it needs to break down protein effectively, ensuring every gram you eat is being put to good use by your body. This step is non-negotiable, especially if you experience gas, bloating, or indigestion after meals. Third, focus on high-quality, leucine-rich protein sources. Leucine is the spark plug that ignites muscle growth. Excellent sources include whey protein, which is the gold standard, as well as poultry, red meat, fish, eggs, and dairy products like Greek yogurt and cottage cheese. Aim to get at least 25 to 30 grams of protein per meal. A scoop of whey protein isolate in the morning, a large chicken breast for lunch, and a piece of salmon for dinner can easily get you to your goal. Spreading your intake like this provides a constant stream of amino acids to your muscles, keeping them in an anabolic or muscle-building state throughout the day. Finally, consider the timing. The most critical time to consume protein is within an hour or two after any form of physical activity, even just a brisk walk. This is when your muscles are most receptive to nutrients, a period known as the anabolic window. A post-activity protein shake or a high-protein meal can dramatically enhance recovery and muscle repair. Within a few weeks of implementing this protocol, Mrs. Carmen reported that the sand in her legs was gone. She was walking confidently, climbing stairs without fear, and had even started gardening again. She didn't need a walker, she needed functional protein. This is the power of addressing the root cause. Now let's move on to the second critical deficiency that is secretly sabotaging your muscle strength and overall vitality. This one is incredibly common yet almost never detected in routine medical checkups. I'm talking about a deficiency in bioavailable magnesium. And please notice that word again, bioavailable. It's not just about popping any magnesium pill you find at the pharmacy. It's about getting this mineral in a form that your body can actually absorb and deliver to your cells where it's desperately needed. The statistics on this are truly shocking. Research indicates that up to 89% of people over the age of 40 have some level of magnesium deficiency, and they have no idea. Why is magnesium so fundamentally important for your muscles? Think of magnesium as the ultimate relaxation mineral. It is the essential counterpart to calcium. Calcium is responsible for making your muscles contract, while magnesium is responsible for making them relax. Every single muscle contraction, every movement you make, from blinking your eyes to taking a step, is a complex dance between calcium and magnesium. When you don't have enough bioavailable magnesium, calcium can run rampant in your cells. This leads to a state where your muscles can't fully relax. They remain in a state of low-grade chronic tension, leading to cramps, spasms, twitching, and a pervasive feeling of stiffness. The problem is, no standard blood test your doctor orders is going to detect this. A routine serum magnesium test measures the amount of magnesium floating in your bloodstream, which accounts for less than 1% of your body's total magnesium. The other 99% is stored inside your cells, inside your bones and muscles. So, your blood test can come back looking perfectly normal, while your cells are screaming for magnesium. This is why so many people suffer from the symptoms of magnesium deficiency for years, being told everything is fine, when in reality, their muscles are unable to function properly at a cellular level. It's a hidden deficiency with very real and debilitating consequences. The symptoms go far beyond simple muscle cramps. Because magnesium is a cofactor in over 300 essential enzymatic reactions in your body, a deficiency can manifest in numerous ways. Do you suffer from tension headaches or migraines? That's often related to blood vessel constriction, which magnesium helps to relax. Do you have trouble falling asleep or staying asleep with your mind racing at night? Magnesium is crucial for calming the nervous system and supporting the production of GABA, a neurotransmitter that promotes sleep. Do you feel anxious or easily stressed? Again, magnesium helps regulate your body's stress response. If you're experiencing muscle weakness combined with any of these other issues, it is a very strong indicator of a bioavailable magnesium deficiency. Let me share the story of another patient, Joao, a 55-year-old accountant. Joao came to me complaining of two main things: debilitating leg cramps at night that would wake him up in agony, and a feeling of profound weakness during the day. He said, "I feel like I'm 80 years old. I dread going to bed because I know my legs will start cramping, and during the day I just have no power. I used to play soccer with my friends on the weekend, now I can barely walk around the block." He was also highly irritable and had high blood pressure, for which he was taking medication. His doctor had told him to eat more bananas for the cramps, which, as we'll discuss later, is not the most effective advice. Joao's life was being severely impacted. The lack of quality sleep due to the cramps left him exhausted and unable to concentrate at work. The feeling of weakness made him withdraw from social activities he once loved. He was taking a common, cheap form of magnesium he bought at the supermarket, magnesium oxide, but it wasn't helping. In fact, it was just giving him digestive upset. This is a classic case. He was technically taking a magnesium supplement, but it wasn't a bioavailable form. Magnesium oxide has a very low absorption rate, somewhere around 4%. So most of what he was taking was simply passing right through his system, never reaching the muscle cells that were crying out for it. We immediately switched his strategy. I explained to him that for magnesium to be truly functional, it needs to be in a form that the body can easily absorb and transport. We stopped the ineffective magnesium oxide and replaced it with a form called magnesium glycinate. This form is chelated, which means the magnesium molecule is bound to an amino acid, glycine. The body is very good at absorbing amino acids, so it essentially tricks the digestive system into carrying the magnesium along for the ride, resulting in much higher absorption and bioavailability. Glycine itself also has a calming effect on the nervous system, making this form particularly good for sleep and anxiety. Furthermore, we addressed dietary sources. While supplements are crucial for correcting a significant deficiency, we also focused on incorporating magnesium-rich foods into his daily routine. We added dark leafy greens like spinach and Swiss chard, nuts and seeds, particularly pumpkin seeds and almonds, avocados, and even dark chocolate. We also discussed factors that deplete magnesium, such as high sugar intake, chronic stress, and excessive alcohol consumption. By both increasing his intake of bioavailable magnesium and reducing the factors that were draining his reserves, we created a comprehensive plan to restore his cellular levels of this master mineral. Let's outline the specific protocol to correct a bioavailable magnesium deficiency. First and foremost, you must choose the right form of magnesium. Forget magnesium oxide or magnesium sulfate. You need a chelated form for optimal absorption. The best all-around choice for muscle relaxation and sleep is magnesium glycinate or magnesium bisglycinate. A good starting dose is between 400 to 500 milligrams of elemental magnesium per day. It's very important to read the label and look for the elemental amount. Take this dose in the evening, about an hour before bed, to aid with muscle relaxation and promote restful sleep. Another excellent form, particularly if you also experience fatigue and low energy, is magnesium malate. Malate from malic acid is a key component in the Krebs cycle, which is how your cells generate energy, or ATP. So, magnesium malate can support both muscle relaxation and cellular energy production, making it a great option to take earlier in the day. Some people find success by taking magnesium malate in the morning or afternoon, and magnesium glycinate in the evening. The key is to find a high-quality chelated form that your body can actually use. Second, enhance your magnesium absorption through cofactors. Magnesium doesn't work in a vacuum. To get it into the cell and keep it there, it needs help. The B vitamins, especially vitamin B6, are critical for the absorption and utilization of magnesium. Make sure you are consuming a B-complex supplement or eating foods rich in B vitamins like nutritional yeast, sunflower seeds, and pistachios. Additionally, vitamin D3 and vitamin K2 are crucial partners for both magnesium and calcium metabolism, ensuring these minerals go to the right places in the body. We will talk more about vitamin D3 in the next chapter. Finally, you need to be consistent and patient while also increasing your dietary intake. It can take several weeks or even a few months to fully replenish your body's magnesium stores, especially if you've been deficient for a long time. Alongside your supplement, make a conscious effort to eat magnesium-rich foods every single day. A handful of pumpkin seeds, a large spinach salad, a side of black beans, or a square of 85% dark chocolate can significantly contribute to your daily intake. After just 3 weeks on this protocol, Huao reported that his nightly leg cramps had completely vanished. His sleep improved dramatically and the weakness in his legs began to subside. He was getting his power back because he was finally giving his muscles the master mineral they needed to function. Now let's talk about the third critical deficiency that is insidiously stealing your muscle strength, your power, and your vitality right under your nose. I'm referring to active vitamin D3. And I need you to pay very close attention here because this is not about the standard vitamin D that you hear about all the time. I am talking about the specific bioactive form, the form your muscles can actually recognize and utilize to maintain their strength and function. Many people think, I live in a sunny place, I get plenty of sun, so I'm fine. But the research tells a completely different and frankly alarming story. It's a massive deception that is leaving millions of people over 40 weak and vulnerable. The shocking reality is that a staggering 78% of individuals over the age of 40 are deficient in vitamin D, and this holds true even for those living in sun-drenched, tropical countries. How is this possible? There are several key factors at play here. As we age, our skin's ability to synthesize vitamin D from sunlight dramatically decreases. An older individual might need 3 to 4 times more sun exposure than a 20-year-old to produce the same amount of this crucial vitamin. On top of that, modern lifestyles keep us indoors, and when we do go outside, we're often covered in clothing or sunscreen, which blocks the very UVB rays necessary for this vital synthesis process. Let me paint a clearer picture of what this deficiency looks like in your daily life. Do you ever feel a deep, persistent ache in your bones, especially in your lower back or hips? That's a classic sign. Have you noticed a general, widespread muscle weakness that makes simple tasks feel like a monumental effort? Perhaps you find yourself getting sick more often, catching every cold that goes around. This is because vitamin D is also a powerful modulator of your immune system. And if you've experienced unexplained fatigue that sleep doesn't seem to fix, or even shifts in your mood, feeling down for no apparent reason, your vitamin D levels could be the hidden culprit behind it all. Let me tell you about Mrs. Maria, a 62-year-old patient of mine. She came to me complaining of debilitating lower back pain and a profound weakness in her legs. She lived in a sunny coastal city and spent time outdoors every single day. Her doctors had told her it was just arthritis and part of getting older. But Mrs. Maria was an active person, she loved gardening, and this weakness was stealing her passion. She felt like her own body was betraying her, and she was starting to become afraid of falling. Her story is incredibly common, and it highlights how this deficiency can be completely overlooked even when the signs are screaming at us. So, how exactly does this sunshine vitamin exert such a powerful influence over your muscles? It's all about the intricate connection between your muscles and your bones, and vitamin D is the master regulator of this relationship. Vitamin D receptors are found directly on your muscle cells. When active vitamin D3 binds to these receptors, it sends a signal that promotes muscle protein synthesis, the very process of building and repairing muscle tissue. Without enough active D3, this signal becomes weak and intermittent. Your body simply cannot maintain its muscle mass effectively, leading to that progressive weakness and atrophy we see so often after 40. Furthermore, vitamin D's primary role in the body is to regulate calcium and phosphorus absorption from your gut. These minerals are the fundamental building blocks of your bones. When D3 levels are low, your body cannot absorb enough calcium from your diet. To compensate and maintain critical blood calcium levels, your body starts to pull calcium directly from your bones, a process regulated by the parathyroid hormone. This not only weakens your bones, leading to osteopenia and osteoporosis, but it also has a direct negative impact on your muscle function, creating a vicious cycle of weakness. This is why the symptoms are so intertwined. The bone pain Mrs. Maria felt wasn't just her joints, it was a sign that her skeletal structure was being compromised. The muscle weakness was a direct result of her muscle cells not getting the activation signal they needed from vitamin D3. It's a double attack on your musculoskeletal system. Your muscles become weaker, making you more prone to falls, and your bones become more brittle, making fractures more likely if you do fall. This is a dangerous combination that robs people of their independence and confidence as they age, and it is almost entirely preventable with the right knowledge. When we tested Mrs. Maria's vitamin D levels, they were critically low, despite her daily sun exposure. This confirmed my suspicion that her body was simply not converting it effectively. Her case underscores a crucial point. It's not just about exposure, it's about absorption and activation. For many people over 40, simply getting more sun is not enough. We need a more direct, more intelligent strategy to ensure the active form of this vitamin is reaching the cells that need it most, breaking the cycle of bone loss and muscle decay before it leads to a catastrophic event like a fall. So, what is the complete protocol to restore your active vitamin D3 levels and reclaim your strength? First, we need to ensure you're getting an adequate and consistent intake. I recommend supplementing with 2,000 to 4,000 international units of vitamin D3 per day. Notice I said D3, cholecalciferol, not D2. D3 is the form your body naturally produces from sun exposure and is significantly more effective at raising and maintaining blood levels of the vitamin. This is the foundational step to begin replenishing your body's depleted stores and start sending those crucial signals back to your muscles. However, taking vitamin D3 alone is only half the battle, and this is a critical point that many people miss. Vitamin D3 works in perfect synergy with another fat-soluble vitamin, vitamin K2, specifically the MK7 form. Think of vitamin D3 as the traffic controller that gets calcium into the bloodstream from your gut. Vitamin K2 is the GPS system that directs that calcium to where it needs to go, into your bones and teeth, and crucially keeps it out of your soft tissues like your arteries and your joints, where it can cause calcification and hardening. Taking high doses of D3 without K2 is a mistake. Next, you must combine supplementation with smart sun exposure. I'm not talking about baking in the sun for hours. Aim for 15 to 20 minutes of midday sun exposure on as much of your skin as possible, without sunscreen several times a week. The midday sun provides the most potent UVB rays for D3 synthesis. This natural production complements your supplementation and provides other benefits from sunlight that we are still just beginning to understand. It's about creating a holistic approach that uses both nature and targeted nutritional science to your advantage for optimal muscle health. Finally, you have to test, not guess. It's essential to get your blood levels of 25-hydroxyvitamin D checked twice a year, perhaps in the early spring and early fall, to see how your levels fluctuate with the seasons. This allows you and your doctor to adjust your supplementation dosage to keep you in the optimal range, which for muscle and bone health is generally considered to be between 50 and 70 nanograms per milliliter. For Mrs. Maria, we implemented this exact protocol. Within 90 days her back pain had vanished, and she was back in her garden, lifting bags of soil with a confidence she thought she had lost forever. We've now arrived at the fourth and perhaps the most dangerously neglected deficiency that is sabotaging your muscle strength after 40. This is the one that is almost universally overlooked by traditional medicine, yet it is arguably one of the most common. I'm talking about cellular potassium deficiency. When we think of muscle problems, we often think of protein or magnesium, but potassium is the silent giant in the room. It is the most abundant mineral electrolyte inside your muscle cells. Its role is not just supportive, it is fundamental to the very electricity that makes your muscles contract and your nerves fire. Think of your muscle cells like tiny rechargeable batteries. Potassium is the primary positive charge inside the cell, while sodium is the primary positive charge outside the cell. The difference between these two charges across the cell membrane creates what's called the membrane potential. This electrical gradient is what allows nerve impulses to travel and muscles to contract. When you are deficient in cellular potassium, this gradient weakens. The electrical signal becomes sluggish. Your muscles literally lose their spark, their ability to fire with force and precision. This is not a subtle effect. It's a fundamental breakdown in your body's electrical engineering. So what are the telltale signs that your cellular potassium levels are dangerously low? It often manifests as extreme muscle fatigue and weakness that feels disproportionate to your activity level. You might experience frequent and debilitating muscle cramps, especially in your legs and feet, often waking you up at night. Another classic sign is heart palpitations or an irregular heartbeat because your heart is a muscle that is incredibly sensitive to potassium levels. You might also notice fluid retention, bloating, and even an increase in blood pressure, as your body struggles to maintain the proper fluid and electrolyte balance. Let me introduce you to Roberto, a 55-year-old executive who came to my office convinced he had a serious heart problem. He was experiencing constant muscle fatigue, his legs felt like lead weights, and he was having terrifying heart flutters, especially after his workouts. His cardiologist had run a battery of expensive tests, all of which came back normal. No one had ever asked him about his diet. No one had considered this fundamental mineral. Roberto was living in a state of constant anxiety, believing his body was failing him, when in reality, it was simply starved of a key nutrient. The core of the problem for Roberto, and for millions of others, is not just a simple lack of potassium in the diet, but a massive imbalance between sodium and potassium. The modern Western diet is a perfect storm for creating this deficiency. It is absolutely saturated with processed foods, restaurant meals, and packaged snacks that are loaded with sodium. At the same time, this diet is tragically deficient in the very foods that are rich in potassium: fresh fruits, leafy green vegetables, and other whole foods. Our ancestors consumed a diet with a potassium to sodium ratio of perhaps 10-1. Today, we've completely inverted that. This chronic overconsumption of sodium puts immense pressure on your kidneys. To excrete the excess sodium and maintain balance, your body is forced to flush out potassium along with it. It's a constant draining process that depletes your cellular stores of this vital mineral day after day, year after year. Furthermore, chronic stress, a hallmark of modern life, causes your adrenal glands to release cortisol. Elevated cortisol also causes the body to retain sodium and excrete potassium, further worsening the imbalance. It's a physiological trap set by our modern lifestyle and diet, and our muscles are paying the price. This imbalance directly impacts hydration at a cellular level. You can drink gallons of water, but if your sodium-potassium pump isn't functioning correctly due to low potassium, your cells can't properly hydrate. Water will be retained in the spaces outside the cells, leading to that feeling of bloating and puffiness, while the cells themselves are essentially dehydrated. A dehydrated muscle is a weak muscle. It cannot store glycogen, which is muscle fuel, effectively, and it cannot contract with optimal force. This is why you feel that profound fatigue and weakness. Your muscle cells are literally running on empty and are biochemically parched. For Roberto, this was the missing piece of the puzzle. His diet was full of healthy-looking packaged foods, deli meats, and sauces that were secretly loaded with sodium. He was also under immense stress at work. His body was in a constant state of flushing out potassium to deal with the sodium and cortisol overload. His heart flutters were a direct cry for help from his heart muscle, which was struggling to maintain its rhythm. His leg fatigue wasn't a sign of aging, it was a sign of profound electrolyte starvation at the cellular level. So how do we correct this dangerous imbalance and replenish your cells with the potassium they are screaming for? The strategy is twofold. We must dramatically reduce the sodium coming in, while simultaneously increasing the potassium-rich foods. The first and most impactful step is to ruthlessly eliminate processed and packaged foods from your diet. Start reading labels and become a detective for hidden sodium. Cook more meals at home where you can control the salt content. This single change will take immense pressure off your kidneys and stop the continuous draining of your potassium reserves. Next, you need to aggressively increase your intake of high potassium foods. Your goal should be to consume at least 4,700 milligrams of potassium per day from your diet. This sounds like a lot, but it's achievable if you are intentional. Think large salads with spinach and romaine lettuce. Incorporate avocados, which are a potassium powerhouse. Sweet potatoes, white beans, bananas, and winter squash are all excellent sources. Making a conscious effort to include several servings of these foods every single day is non-negotiable for rebuilding your cellular stores and restoring that vital electrical gradient in your muscles. For an extra boost, especially after exercise or on hot days when you lose electrolytes through sweat, consider incorporating coconut water. It's a natural source of potassium and other electrolytes without the added sugars of typical sports drinks. Another powerful addition is using a salt substitute like potassium chloride, or no salt, on your food. This allows you to get that salty flavor you might crave while actively adding potassium instead of sodium. This simple swap can make a significant difference in shifting your sodium to potassium ratio back into a healthy muscle-building balance. This was the protocol we used for Roberto. We overhauled his diet, focusing on whole, unprocessed foods. We filled his plate with avocados, leafy greens, and sweet potatoes. He started making his own meals instead of relying on takeout. Within a few weeks, the heart palpitations completely stopped. The profound fatigue in his legs lifted, and he felt a new sense of power and endurance during his workouts. He wasn't getting older. He was just imbalanced. By correcting this fundamental cellular deficiency, he restored his body's electrical system and got his life back. Now that you understand the 4 silent deficiencies that have been systematically weakening your muscles and stealing your physical independence, let's put it all together. I am going to give you the complete integrated protocol to reverse all 4 of these deficiencies simultaneously. This isn't just theory, this is the exact framework I have used with my patients for over 15 years to help them reclaim their strength, energy, and freedom. This is your 90-day plan to take back control. Imagine a future where you feel stronger and more vital than you have in decades. That future starts with the consistent actions you take beginning today. Let's break down the weekly protocol. For functional protein, you will aim for 1.2 to 1.6 grams of high-quality, complete protein per kilogram of your ideal body weight, spread throughout the day. For bioavailable magnesium, you will supplement with 400 milligrams of a chelated form like magnesium glycinate or malate before bed, while also incorporating magnesium-rich leafy greens daily and taking 2 to 3 Epsom salt baths per week. For active vitamin D3, you will take 2,000 to 4,000 international units of D3 with vitamin K2 daily, get 15 to 20 minutes of midday sun, and get your levels tested. And for cellular potassium, you will focus on eliminating processed foods and adding at least 7 to 10 cups of vegetables and some fruit daily to reach that 4,700 milligram target. You have 2 distinct paths in front of you right now. The first path is to continue as you are, to accept the conventional narrative that muscle weakness, aches, pains, and a gradual decline into frailty are just normal for your age. The second path is the path of empowerment. It's the choice to take this knowledge, take control of your health, and commit to reversing these deficiencies over the next 90 days. Which path will you choose for yourself? As my 58-year-old patient Mrs. Carmen said, I thought I'd need a walker for the rest of my life. Today, at 60, I walk 5 kilometers daily and climb stairs carrying groceries. These deficiencies were slowly killing me and I didn't even know. If this video has opened your eyes to the hidden reality of nutritional deficiencies, I urge you to share it. Share it with your family, your friends, your colleagues. How many people do you know over 40 who complain of constant fatigue, muscle pain, and feeling weak? This knowledge is not just interesting, it can be life-changing. It can be the key that saves the physical independence of someone you love. Please, leave a comment below. Which of these 4 deficiencies do you suspect you might have? Have you felt any of the specific symptoms I described today? Your story matters and can inspire others to take action.